Okay, guys, now I want to talk about my involvement in real estate in Los Angeles. Real estate was always around me ever since I moved out there. So I moved out to Los Angeles on September 2nd, 2005, and I lived on Veteran Avenue with some sophomores at UCLA. I was already out of college. I was too old for them, and they said, after a week, you're going to have to find a new place to live. So I went outside looking around. I was crying on the phone to my mom, and she said, go to the first real estate office you see. Go in there and they'll find you a place to live. So I was on Westwood Boulevard and the corner of Westwood and Santa Monica, walking up Westwood Boulevard, going toward UCLA area, going toward Wilshire. And I said, Mom, I know there's a couple of real estate offices around on Westwood Boulevard. I passed them throughout the week when I was walking around the area. So I walked up to the first one I saw, Metropolitan Realty and Mortgage, and I walked in the door, and there was this guy in there. He was sitting at a desk, and he smiled at me. He goes, hi, I'm Sean. What can I do for you? And I said, oh, I need to find a place to live. I just moved here from Massachusetts a week ago. I'm going to the UCLA Professional Screening Program. I'm starting there in a month, but I need a place to live. My roommates, they say I'm too old for them. Find a place to live. I'm living still with two guys. One of them, the father owns the place. The other one, his roommate, has his girlfriend over every night. So Sean goes, is he fucking her? I'm like, probably. So we shared a laugh with that. So he's like, all right. I said, my mom, she told me just go to the first real estate office you see. And he goes, all right, I'll start looking for places for you. And he goes, where do you want to live? I said, well, in this area. He goes, it's kind of expensive in this area. I suggest San Fernando Valley. I didn't even know where that was. He's like, oh, it's another 15 minutes down. It's okay. I'll look for places there. I'm like, just any place around here is fine, I told him. So he found me a place in Westwood, right down the street at the Wilshire Marquee. And because he knew the landlady there, Yola, and her husband, Ron. And I was like, when I met them, they were really nice people. And I'm like, Yola, my next door neighbor Lawrence is named Yola, and she has a brother named Ronnie. And she's like, no kidding. Yola was from Chile. So she had that accent. Hi, Mark. How are you, Mark? And Ron was born here in the Americas. I think in California, in Los Angeles, I believe. He was very much into like the stock market and like business and all that stuff, I believe. And they were very good landlady and landlord to me. I lived there for a year. So I told Sean I'm going to go to UCLA for a year. And he said, Mark, if you need a job when you're done that, or if you want to get a job now, let me know. I will hire you. So I said, okay. So a year went by. And then I contacted him again. It was too expensive to live in Wilshire Marquee area. It was just too expensive in Westwood. So then Yola had a place in Santa Monica, right by the ocean, and I moved there. Sean didn't have to find me a second place. She sent me stuff online about the listing, and I moved there. It was a lot less money. So I moved there. So I kind of stayed in touch with Sean after that, but I didn't really see him that much. I was just too busy. So I worked at CBS in 2007. And then after that, I had left CBS. I went to Nielsen in the fall of 2007. And then into 2008, it was hard for me to get movie surveys. So I went to go see him at that time when I was going out with Funicello's niece. So I told him, I said, Sean, I'm ready. And he goes, okay. So I started studying in the fall of 2008. I took the pre-tests. I passed all of them. And then in October of 2008, I took the real estate test in Los Angeles, downtown LA. It was on paper then. I failed. I failed by just a few questions. So Sean made me study with him in November. I paid a little money to study. He did the course for me at the office over there. And I passed. I passed in December of 2008. So then January to February of 2009, I took classes with Sean about, real estate. And then in spring of 2009, I showed a condo in Westwood. It was behind Wilshire, and it was near Westwood Boulevard. And that rented out for about $400. So that covered the charge of the classes I took with Sean. And then in June of 2009, I rented out a house in Reseda. And that came to about $850 in commission. And then after that, nothing. There was nothing. And then Sean told me over the summer, he goes, go home for a while. People leave, they come back. Why don't you move home for a little while and then come back maybe a year from now, 2? It'll probably pick up then. I said, I'm staying here. I need to become an actor and a writer and a producer and all that. I'd love to do that. He goes, all right, do what you got to do, but I'm just advising you that's based on the real estate market. There's nothing right now. So in 2012, after all that struggling with Glee and Grey's Anatomy and all those extra work things I did, I went to Keller Williams. And Sean goes, you can go to them. I left Metropolitan Realty. I went to Keller Williams. It was all classes. Kim, my ex-girlfriend, told me to go there. Yeah, go there, go there. All right. So I went there, and it was just classes. And then they said, Mark, everybody in the class is ready to show places, but you're not. And I said to myself, I've shown places. I've been a real estate agent. I went from one real estate to another. So I left them. I left them after that. I said, I'm out of here. All classes, all money. So then Kim was mad. Oh, why are you leaving? I'm like, because they're not making me show anything. They're not making me make money. I'm spending money too much. So I stopped that. And then I stopped real estate after that. And I stayed out of it. And then, I worked in, I was working in food service. I was biology, Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I was doing, short things on the side, this on the side, that on the side. And I didn't like doing that. So then, in 2015, I said, Sean, I want to come back. Can I come back? Yes. But by that time, I looked at my real estate license and it was expired. So, in spring of 2016, I took the test again. It was like in Compton area this time, around that area. And it was on the computer this time because the years have gone by. And I failed by a few questions again. And then I went to see Sean and I took the exam help again, and I passed it. Like a week later, I passed. So then, summer of 2016, I showed one house in the Reseda area a few times, and then I showed one in Santa Monica, about, I think it was 7th Street, and nothing happened with that. And then the fall of 2016 into early 2017, I showed a condo in Canoga Park. And nothing was going on with that either, but I was getting paid for the showings, though. I was getting paid, like, little money here and there for showing the places. And then in spring of 2017, Sean said a new office was to open in Encino, right down the street from me, and I'd be office manager, because his daughter was going to be, like, the head broker there when she graduated college. So time was going on, and then fall of 2017, Sean was introducing me to a producer friend of his who worked on Dumb and Dumber, the original Dumb and Dumber. He's like, I have a producer friend. I'll introduce you to him when we open the office. Okay, great. He goes, maybe you'll get work there while you're doing the managing there. And then 2018 started, and Sean told me to wait out a little longer, and he passed my resume to that guy at Dumb and Dumber. But my mom was saying, Sean's pulling your leg. It's never going to happen. This office was supposed to happen a while back. So, as 2018, the spring came, I went to see him again. His mother had passed away around that time. I was sorry. I left him alone for a while. And then I said, Sean, what's going on at the office? And he goes, my daughter, she got accepted to law school. She's going to be a lawyer. I'm not opening it now. I said, you told me you were going to open it. You were fixing it up. This is just coming up now? Would you sell it? I never even saw the place. My mom told me you were pulling my leg. No, I wasn't. It was going to happen, but now it's not. I'm like, Sean, you're going to tell me after all these years this is, And I said, is there anything to show? Any real estate to show? No. I said, so I got to just struggle with working in the studios here and there as a page, and working part-time at Ona Hawaiian Barbecue. And you promised me that job. I'd never have to work in the stores or food service again. He's like, Mark, I told you to go home for a while and then come back and things will get better. But I said, that was years ago. It's never gotten better. So then I called my mom on the phone. I'm like, Ma, it's not happening. The office is not happening. He lied. You were right. So I took her advice. I took her saying, maybe he was telling the truth. I don't know. Because his daughter was graduating, I think, UCLA or somewhere at that time. She was going to law school to be a lawyer. So that's what made him not want to open the business. I said, that could have helped me. I could have stayed in LA even longer because I was thinking of moving home. So I said, I'm going to go full-time at that point at Ono, save money, and if I have to move home at some point, I'll have the money for a down payment or whatever. So that was the last I saw of Sean. The last thing he told me was, you better keep it down, because I was outside yelling at my mom on the phone. And then I yelled at him. I said, leave me alone. I said, I trusted you. I said, maybe you were good to help me and to steer me in the right direction, but you knew all the struggling I've been through. And, everyone got help out here but me. So that was the last time I saw him in spring. It was like June of 2018. And I never saw him again after that. I didn't even go back. I lived in LA one more year, never went back. So, and then my hackers, they posted his photo on a Twitter, and they said, oh, Mark Sinakuri failed in my real estate. Stupid, My hackers had always do that to me. It wasn't that I failed. I mean, I had connections that could have bought stuff or rented stuff. They were piss-ass poor. Everybody I knew. So I had to rely on him, my broker, to show places, even if it was just to rent. But he had nothing. And he'd always tell me the business was bad, the business was bad, the business was bad. So that's my experience working in real estate in Los Angeles between 2009 and 2017 or so.